Hey everyone, welcome back to another video of the series FastAPI for AI. So we will continue this series from where we left off in the past videos. So in the last video, if you can see that I had this in-memory tweets and then I made some changes. I have added some more FastAPI related methods as well as the classes which can do a lot. Okay, like if we do it from scratch, then obviously it is going to take time. So I have tried to utilize most from the FastAPI here, and then still after that there are certain drawbacks and improvements that is required here. So let's look into that. Now the first thing that you see here is this is your in-memory storage. So earlier we had in-memory storage. Now we are going to replace it with the database, that is SQLite. So what is the drawback of that? So whenever you will refresh your page, right? So what will happen that all the tweets that is being stored into that list, it will be gone. Okay, or whenever if you even restart your server, so it is all gone. So that is why it is good to have a database that will simply maintain that. Okay, so even if you restart it, so it will again go back and read the database, and you will still have all the data remaining. So that is the first improvement that we are going to do here. And now, since we are going to use SQLite here or SQL database, so we are going to use a new library that is SQLModel. Okay, and we are going to use it here, and that will also be using that will also do the data validation in the database schema as well. Okay, so we will define the schema, and then all the data validation will be done or taken care with that SQLModel library. And then we will also introduce something called as dependency injection. So what is dependency injection is, let's say, for example, you created an app, you have selected a database, let's say SQLite only. And now in this case, like if you try to introduce that database into some sort of an endpoint, like in the endpoint itself which you have created, inside that endpoint, if you try to initialize that database and try to execute the queries, so that is fine and good, that is not a problem. Okay, but what happens, like let's say if you want to test this application, okay, during the testing phase, so you are not going to test it on the original database that you have or where your user data is going to be stored. So what you have to do is you will have some separate database, okay, and that has to be that has to be used here. And in order to make it easily replaceable, so we can make use of something called as dependency injection. So what happens in dependency injection in simple term is that whenever you are creating some sort of function, so instead of let's say if you inside that function you are trying to initialize a database, okay, so obviously you are going to create an object for that, right? So in order to create that, instead of creating that object then and there itself inside that particular function, why not to pass that as an argument? Okay, so what you are going to do is your initialization will take care in some other function, okay, and that function will return the object, okay, that can be used for your execution of the queries, and this object will be passed to your function. Okay, so in that way what will happen that these two things got separated, right? Creation of the object and the use of the object got separated. So let's say during testing phase I want a separate object to be passed, which will be which will deal with the different database, so that we can change as per our need, okay, and without doing so much into the code. It will not affect your code base, and you don't have to manually do the things. Okay, it will be very straightforward and easy to do it. Okay, we can even we even associate this function with your let's say object with your environment variable also. Let's say you have an environment variable which says development or testing. Okay, so if it is in development mode, then so it will have a different set of object initialization, or if it is in production mode, okay, or some other mode, so we will have different database for that. So normally people do they have testing environment, they have development environment, they have pre-prod environment, and then they have production environment. For all these they maintain separate databases. Okay, so in this kind of situations we need dependency injection. Okay, we will get to understand this more much better way when we will do the code. We will do the coding for this one. Okay, so this is also being provided by FastAPI itself very easily. Okay, so we will use that. So the summary of changes includes here is like we will do the database integration. We will also go for dependency injection. We will do a data validation with the help of SQL model library. And then we will also do the exception handling. Okay. With the help of SQL models. Okay. So earlier we had pydantic base models, right? Now it will be SQL models. Okay. So let's get back to our code now. So first thing first, that we will in the requirements.txt you need to add this library, that is SQL model. Okay, so add this SQL model here, and then after that you need to activate your environment and reinstall. Okay, simply activate the environment. If your environment is activated, just run the command pip install -r requirements.txt, and that's it. Okay, so it will install the requirement. Since I already have it installed, so that's why it is showing that it is already installed. Okay, requirements already satisfied. Now once it is done, so let's get back to our application. So we will make some changes here. So first of all, we will get rid of this tweet db here. It's not going to be utilized now. Now here we will be, since you have already installed SQL model, so we will import from SQL model. We will import SQL model. We will import create engine. We will also import session. We will also import select method, which we are going to utilize it. Next, also from SQL model, we will import field, but since it will contradict this field, so that is why we will change the alias as, we will simply say that as SQL field instead of calling it as just field. Okay, and we will, yeah, rest of things we will keep it as it is as of now. So the first thing that we are going to do here is that here we will have a database URL, which will be is equals to, since we are going to use SQLite, right, as a database, we will use this test, or maybe let's call it as a trial DB, trial database, and then we will, let's create the engine here itself. Engine is equals to create engine with this database URL. So this way it will create the database. Then let's get rid of this as of now. We will come back to that. Now here we will, since we have created this tweet, right? So instead of tweet, it is inheriting base model, right? We will use SQL model here, and we will make the change here. We will call it as tweet base. Okay, and rest of the things will remain same. There is not going to be any change, but yeah, here instead of field I will be using SQL field. Then this one I'm calling as now tweet, and this will inherit from tweet base. Okay, and now the timestamp will be changed to, we will make changes here. We will call this as again SQL field, and this will be of type string, which is equals to SQL field, and this SQL field will have again these 3 ellipses. That means it's not a optional field. It is going to take some values definitely without a null, without any value, basic values, or without any string value. It will not be initialized. Okay, and let's make this as a primary key. So we will simply say primary key is equals to true. Then we will say index. We will also use this as an index so that we can search it faster. So we will also make that true, and then we will also use the regular expression which we were using here. So in this case it is called as regex equals to this, so that it will validate our timestamp now. Okay, then we have username. So username is again going to be SQL field, and we can also make this as an index. That's true. Okay, then again it's not an optional field, so we can keep those ellipses here. Next, after that we have edited timestamp. So this is going to be an optional field, so let's call this as optional or optional string, and this will be is equals to SQL field, and see, you can see that optional is not like it is not imported. So you can just click hover on this, and then you can click on quick fix, and it will say import from typing, import optional. Okay, and since we are not going to use annotated here, so I will drop that. And also I think we are not going to use these all of them, so we can get rid of this part. Okay, and now yeah, let's go back to this edited time step again, and here we have this as an optional, but still it is going to be following this regular expression, so we will keep that here. So this is ready now, and we will also create one more thing that is going to be tweet create, and it will inherit the tweet base. And this will do nothing. It's just inheriting this tweet base, and it is not doing nothing. It's simply, it is going to be utilizing this. Okay. So the reason for this one is being separated is this is going to be utilized for creating the new tweet. Okay, and this will be utilized for database schema. Okay, so that is why, just to provide a separation between them, so that is why I'm creating a new inheritance of it. Okay, that is the only reason here. So it comes under solid principle, that is first one, that is separation of concerns here. So we are just separating it from the creation of schema and from the creation of the actual tweet. Okay, so that is why I'm creating this a separate class here, which is just simply inheriting the tweet base. That's it. So now after this, what we will do is we will simply create one method that is called as get session. Okay, so what get session will do is it will simply create a session which will be utilized for executing your SQL query. Okay, so normally when we use this SQL model, so it will do something like this with this context manager, that is with. Okay, so we will say with engine as like session of that engine as session, and then we do something here. Okay, but here the only use of this will be, it will simply return that session. Okay, or it will simply yield that session. So yield here is here we are using the generator functionality, right? So what it will do is it will simply return this session whenever it will be called. Okay, so yeah, it's something which is very memory efficient. That is why I'm using it. Next, after this, we will also create one more method that is going to be creation of the database, create DB, and then we will use the SQL model that we just created, and we will take the metadata, and then we will simply create all of the schema that we just defined above. Okay, this schemas, and we will just create the database here. Okay, that's the only job it has. After this, what I'm going to do is, now I will be initializing our FastAPI app, and here there is an argument called as on startup. So when this application will start, I will simply call this method, that is create DB method. So it will simply be created whenever this application starts. So that is the only thing that we are going to do here. Okay, that's something extra. Next, after that, we will make some changes in the remaining part. Okay, I hope you have got the idea till now. So what we did, we simply created the these schemas. Okay, and then we have initialized the session here, or it will be initialized whenever it will be called, and then we are creating the database itself whenever the your application starts. Okay, next, now let's start some changes here, making some changes. So the first one is about the reading of the data, right? Reading of all the Twitter timeline. So in this one, what we need is, we need something like, if you are aware of SQL, so as per the SQL, it should say, let's say select star from tweet, right? Like if tweet is a table, so from all the tweets we will be reading all that, like from all the like the table tweets. Okay, we will be reading all the tweets, right? That is what we are going to do. So that's what it is going to do here. So for this, we will first of all try to get all the tweets. Okay, So for that, we will use the session. Okay. Now before that, I think I missed it. So before that, I need to provide that session to this, right? So what we are going to do here is the response model will be list of tweet. That is one thing. Then while reading this timeline, we will also get one input that is going to be of type. This is session of type session class. Okay. And which will be is equals to depends. So it depends, or it's there. This is where the dependency injection is coming into picture. So it depends on what? It depends upon the get session. Okay. I think I did not import it. Yeah, I did not import it. So that is why it is. So let's import that. Yeah. So what I did is, like, I am just, whenever this will be called, it will be this dependency get session will get injected and it will be used as a session inside this, right? So let's say if I make changes here anywhere, like let's say if I change the engine, right? So it will automatically pick up that engine, whatever engine I changed. Okay. So it could be like, even if let's say if I change the database tool from SQL to some other database, let's say Postgres, so still I don't have to make much changes here, right? So that is why it is good to have this SQL model library. So the first thing that we are going to do again, so we will just get all the tweets that we have. Okay. So in order to do that, I will simply say session, then execute. And what you want to execute? We want to simply execute the we will simply select all the tweets. Okay. And get all the tweets, okay, into this. And then we will simply say that if tweets are there, then you can simply return the tweets. Otherwise, you can raise the exception. Okay. Now, if you want to write this more concise way, so you can even write in this format. So let's say if not tweets, you can simply then raise this exception. Otherwise, simply return the tweets. Okay, that looks more concise. Okay, so we are going to utilize this. So that's how we implemented the Twitter timeline. Okay, that is the home route. Then just like that, we can also go over the next one. That is, again, it's going to be list of tweets. That is the response model here. And then after that, we will already be using the username, right? And then we will simply again go for this session object, which we will be utilizing it here, so that we can use this session to execute the SQL query. Okay. Now, instead of writing this way, so we have to use this session object, session.execute. And then here we are going to again select the tweet, and here we need to use where clause, and where we will simply say tweet dot username. If it is equals to the username that is provided, and we will get the all such tweets. Again, if those tweets are not found, so we will simply raise an exception here again. The status code will be status dot, it's going to be 404. So HTTP 404, that is not found, and we can pass the detail here. Okay, detail, we will simply say that user with username not found. Okay, if it is present, then we will simply return the user tweet. So that's how we completed the user timeline. Now next one is about posting a new tweet, right? So here again, the response model will be, instead of, it's going to be tweet here, and here when we are creating the tweet, so let's call the tweet create method class, and then again we need to call the session here, right? So let's call that session so that we can utilize it. Now here we will create a new tweet. So this will be of tweet class, and then the new tweet will remain same here. Only thing is that we need to add that to our database. So we'll simply say session dot add this new tweet session.commit and session.refresh. That's it. Then once it is done, we can simply return the new tweet. So with that, we have just finished the post tweet. So you can see there is minor changes we are doing. Now let's go to the update tweet method. Okay. So again, in the update tweet method also, this type will become tweet create, and then again we are going to add the session. So here, like in this update tweet method, what we are going to do is, first let's get all the tweets. Okay, so we will simply say session dot get the tweets with the given timestamp. Okay, and then if there is no tweet to update, or if there is a tweet but at that specific timestamp, but it does not belong to any username. Okay, so you can simply say it says equals to, if it is not equal to that username that we have passed, so in that case we will simply say that it is not found. Okay, otherwise obviously we are going to update it, right? And then after that we will commit the tweets and we will refresh. So refresh the tweet with the tweet to update. Okay, so you can see that I did not add it here, right? I just refresh it with this new tweet that we have just created, or the tweet which we have updated. And then after that we will simply send this response that this tweet is updated, right? Now we are left with the delete part. So again, in the delete part, again we are going to use this session, right? So let's create it here. So here also we are going to use this session.get method, which is going to look for that tweet that is to be deleted with this timestamp, and we will again go for and check for this. Okay, instead of here we will just simply use this tweet to delete. Okay, and if the tweet to delete is not found, or if the username of that is not equal to the username that we provided, then in that case we should say that it is not found. Otherwise we will simply go and delete that tweet. Okay, so for that the method will be session dot delete. Okay, and then after that session dot commit. Okay, and then obviously we are going to send the JSON response that we have. So this way we created all of them. Okay, now let's try to visualize this. Okay, so but also one more extension I would suggest you to use, and that is going to be, let's say, when you search for SQLite, right? So you will come up with SQLite viewer. Okay, so you can use this one to view the database that gets created very easily. Okay, especially SQLite database. So let's try to run this application. So if you run this application, so we will simply run it again in dev mode. Let's try to run this. So once you run it, you can see immediately when you ran it. So as I told you that we have given this command, right? When the application start, create this database. So you can see it got created. And when I click on this, since I have already installed that trial, the SQLite extension, so that is why I'm able to see this. Okay, it's not giving me any error as of now. Now when we are on the main, so let's try to go to our Swagger page, which is here. Let me refresh it. So again you can see that schemas are changed. Now it is tweet and tweet create. So let's first of all check the home page here. So if I try it out, I think I won't get anything, or it will say it is not saying internal server error. Okay, let's try to create first. Let's try to create, although it should not say the internal server error. Let's see that what happened. Yeah, somewhere around line number 39, as we can see, there is some issue. Let's try to debug that. Okay, so while running, so I made one mistake. That is here in the tweet, I should have added table is equals to true. That means it will create the table for you. Okay. So let's try to rerun our application, or make sure that you have removed the trial.db that got created previously by using this function, like using that this command, or you can simply manually delete it also. Okay, make sure that you do not have any trial.db here. Now let's try to again rerun this application, and let's restart. And if I refresh it, so before you restart, whenever you just start this application, you can just check here, click on trial.db. If you don't see these rows here, right, already got created, that means there is some issue. Okay, so you can see all that table got created, and you can see this very clearly in VS Code itself, just because we have that SQLite viewer extension that I just showed. Okay, so now let's try to add some tweets here. So we will post some tweet. Let's use some examples from the previous one. So I have it ready somewhere. So I will try this out and then click on try it out. Let's say hi, hello AI. Let's call this as this username C17Hawk. And then if I execute, if everything is fine, so we will get this response here, 200. Okay. And when you go back to your database, and if you refresh on the top left, you see there's a refresh button. So you should see the first entry, right? So in this way, let's create some more. For the same user, let's have another hello world. For the same user, click execute. It got executed here. Let's do one more for maybe some other user. Let's call this as user one. Okay, user one, and then we will have the same tweet that we had earlier. We will just simply copy paste it here, and then again we will execute it. So we have all now 3 here. We can just quickly verify in your DB here, just by refreshing it. You should see all 3 tweets here got added. Okay, so after this, even if you, let's say if I close this application and then again if I restart it, okay, so you would see that this will still remain same, right? And if I go back to my the first one where we will see the home page, or this where we want to see all the tweets, so we can just simply, if I try it out and execute it, so you would see that it will retain all our tweets, because it is now a part of database. Okay, so we have all the tweets here. Now let's try to update some of them. Okay, let's try to go that update thing, and we will just go to the put method, that is update tweet method. We will click on try it out. Let's pass this timestamp, give the username, update the tweet as, let's say, hello world of AI, and then then if you execute it, everything is fine. You should see this message that tweet with the timestamp and this user got updated. Now if you want to verify it, again go to the database, let's refresh it. You should see there is this value it's now present here. Okay, that is edited timestamp. So that means update tweet also work. Now if I make any mistake, let's say if I just change any value in timestamp which does not exist, so if I execute it, you should get this error, that is 404. Okay, that means this is not found. So this endpoint also works correctly. Let's go to the last one, that is where we are going to delete it. So let's try to delete the same timestamp, okay, by the same user. So if I delete this, so the one that I just updated, that is hello world of AI, that tweet will got deleted. Okay, that will get deleted. So let's execute it. So you can see it says now it is deleted. Let's quickly check into the database. When I refresh it, you should see the middle one should go off. So let's refresh it. You can see it is gone now. Okay, that means this works. And if I try to execute it again, I should get an error, that is 404 again, not found. That's it, right? Sequence hug not found. That means every other endpoints work correctly, right? So let's go back to our application again. So as you can see, like with the minimal changes we have updated, we have just added the database. Okay. Now in the next session, we will try to enhance it somewhat more further. We will introduce something called as a router. Okay, which will be really helpful to modularize your application more, especially FastAPI applications. So I hope you are enjoying the series. If yes, then definitely like it, subscribe it, share it, and see you all in the next session. Thank you all.